Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm so excited to introduce this individual. She's become a great friend of mine as well. And, you know, she's someone that I cannot wait to hear a little bit more about her background. So with that, we're going to dive in. And I want to go ahead and introduce my good friend, Maly. Maly, how are you today?
Good, Tony. I'm excited being on your show.
Yes, it's an honor to have you, and I really appreciate your time. And, you know, out of respect for everyone, we're just going to kind of dive into it. So to start, I would love to have everyone hear a little bit about your background and how you came to kind of where you are in life in your career today. So if you could spend a couple minutes on that, that'd be wonderful.
See, I originally came from Fresno. I grew up in Fresno. This is, I arrived in the late 80s, went to school there, Fresno State alumni, you know, and growing up in Fresno, as many of us know, was not a walk in the park, okay, in Fresno. Anyway, despite all of that, I was able to obtain a master's degree in criminology. I set out because I wanted to become a defense attorney, actually, but I didn't make it to law school. After my master's degree, I moved to the Bay Area, worked in nonprofit organizations, and eventually became a deputy probation officer for Contra Costa County. Stayed there as a PO for about 12 years. I retired early from the department. And in the between time, you know, I tapped into different things in business, in doing community advocacy for the last 20 years. Currently, at the moment, even though I've retired, I became a registered court interpreter for both Lao and Thai language.
That is very impressive. I mean, your educational background, I know for me, I mentioned it in my last video, just even the first step of making it through undergrad is a huge accomplishment. And I can see where you get your intelligence from, you know, getting a master's degree and, you know, the type of work
having a higher education definitely helped, but I think life experience and the things that you've gone through in your life and the different kind of field, different kind of things that you participated in all add into the richness of your experience, right? I mean, when I went to school, I was a single mom. So there was a lot of hustling, a lot of obstacles, a lot happened that, you know, that I believe add to who I am today. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you know, speaking of what you do now as a certified interpreter, I think most people don't really understand the difference, if there is one, between an interpreter versus a translator. So I think that, maybe you can kind of shed some light on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely a thing that we've tried to explain to people. So translation is when you actually translate documents, say translating a document from a source language into a target language. And in our case, our target language is Lao, and vice versa. So we may be translating an English document into Lao or a Lao document into English. And interpreting is when we're interpreting verbally. So when I'm going to court, I'm in a meeting, clients, when they're communicating verbally. So we're interpreting that verbal communication into either Lao or into English. So interpreting is different in a way that we interpret the meaning, the context from Lao into English, and is not verbatim, as opposed to translating document where a lot of time you do need to translate verbatim because it's in a written form. So in short, translation is translating written document, interpreting is, interpreting verbal communication. And a lot of people misuse it, and they say, when I'm looking for a translator, I have to clarify, are you really looking for a translator or an interpreter? So you have to distinguish that. So people still misuse translation as interpreting.
Got it. You know, I think I can relate it to, you know, we talk about talking on a podium versus a lectern.
Yes.
And I think the correct terminology is a lectern, but we all say podium, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because like you said, maybe like a lot of people are just kind of using it interchangeably and maybe not even being corrected. So I think it's really, really great that you are making
Yeah.
a true distinction between the two and the difference.
Right. And then, for example, if we actually translate a document, say we'll translate a metaphor or a saying or jargon or something like that, if we actually translate, it's gonna be pretty literal, right? But interpreting is that you really don't actually interpret verbatim, but you interpret the meaning of it. Like especially metaphor is it's gonna be pretty funny if you're actually interpreting metaphor verbatim, word by word. It's not even going to make sense because Lao people have a different way of saying things than English, even though the context or the meaning may be similar, right? So it gets quite fun at times.
I want to kind of throw something at you that is pretty common, and I think I don't really know how this started, but why do you think, as an interpreter, maybe a translator, you might have better insight, why do you think when most people learn a couple words in a new language, they usually learn the bad words?
Because I think because it's a natural reaction, right? Because it's easy to remember. Because bad words are something that we often use, and when we get into certain mood, we use the word F this, F that, or whatever. And sometimes just being able to express that into a different language is easy to remember. It's easy to remember because we use it more than let's eat, let's go, or whatever, right? But the curse word is something that it's kind of sad we revert to, or that comes to mind most of the time. Because we use curse word when we're happy, we use curse word with friends, we use curse word when we're sad and mad, and we just use it more often than any other typical words.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of us make it more comical when we use those words. I mean, so I can see that, but maybe this is reserved for another channel because my channel is not really rated yet. But I mean, would you like to teach us a bad word?
Oh boy, oh gosh. Interestingly, see, in court, we have to interpret all sorts of words. All sorts of words, be it bad words, be it nasty words, because whatever clients say, we have to interpret verbatim in court, right? And even if I myself wouldn't use that kind of word, wouldn't use profanity or certain word, you just don't say, because it's not just how you communicate. But as an interpreter, you don't get a choice. You have to say it just like they do. Let me give you an example. I covered a murder trial, where two inmates, an inmate killed his cellmate, right? And then his defense, when he took a stand, his defense was that his roommate tried to molest him, right? So, but the Lao word he said is that, I'm gonna say it in Lao, okay? So you guys have, he said, no, he actually said it in, what did he say? He said, มันจะเอามือยัดใส่หูขี้ค่อย
Oh my goodness.
Okay. All right. So when I listen to something like that, then you're gonna have to interpret, he tried to stick his finger up my rectum, right? Or up my butthole, things like that. You have to use the registry that is equivalent to how he really expressed it, right? I can't, if he said, เราจะเอานิ้วมือยัดใส่หูขี้ค่อย I can't just say, he tried to touch my buttock, or he tried to touch my butt. You see that it has different feel, different meaning, right. How he conveys it, right? And so I have to interpret there, especially in the divorce cases, when people ด่าบักฮ่าแบบ โคตรพ่อโคตรแม่ or something, excuse me, you said มันไปเล่นเบ้าให้เขาไปนอนให้เขา see you, but things like that, right? I have to interpret those kind of things into a language, and sometimes even if I myself I wouldn't never use that or speak like that, but in court we can't be embarrassed, we can't be shy. I have to put that facade, that face on, and interpret without giggling, without making any kind of reaction, because we're not supposed to have any reaction, right? You have to maintain that level of professional. I mean I'll laugh, I laugh after I leave, but so that's one thing, that so curse word or not, whatever word, and we have to understand language that are not even word. Like if you have an elder person that tells you คอยเป็นมะล่องกองกอย or เจ็ดมุบมุบมับมับ or เฮ็ดมุบมุบมิบมิบ see those sound has meaning but it's not necessarily a language but you have to be able to know what that means like เจ็บปับปับเสียบจี๊ดจี๊ด things like that right so you gotta understand those to interpret correctly and interpreting affects people's lives Tony so if you interpret if not just a word if you interpret context incorrectly it can change meaning and it can change the way doctors treat client it can change the way attorneys treat their client and how the judge or the jury will make a decision in court. It does change the meaning in terms of context.
Well, for all of you that are watching, I really want to thank you for joining us today with our special guest. And please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And we will share these. So thanks once again, Maly. And I hope to connect with you once we're out of this whole shelter in place. And
yes. Thank you. Thank you for having this program. A lot of people is going to be able to get to know there's so many good people in our community. So I'm really glad for your program. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.